Hash YouTube story script. My mother ran away with my husband. I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here we are. If you're watching this, you probably think you know what betrayal looks like. You probably think you understand what it means when the people closest to you shatter your world. But let me tell you something, you have no idea. What happened to me 3 years ago changed everything I thought I knew about love, family, and the lengths people will go to justify the unthinkable. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how my mother destroyed my marriage, broke apart our family, and then had the audacity to tell me it was all done out of love for me. It started like any other Tuesday morning. I was making breakfast for my husband Marcus and our 7-year-old daughter Emma when my phone rang. It was my mom, which wasn't unusual. She called every few days to check in, especially since my dad passed away 2 years earlier. She'd been lonely, and I'd been trying to be there for her as much as possible while juggling my own family responsibilities. "Sarah, honey, I need to talk to you about something important," she said, and I could hear something strange in her voice. Something I'd never heard before. It was excitement mixed with nervousness, like a teenager about to confess a crush. I balanced the phone between my ear and shoulder while flipping pancakes. "What's up, Mom? You sound different today." There was a long pause. Then she said words that would echo in my head for months afterward. "I'm in love, Sarah, really. Truly in love for the first time in my life." I smiled, genuinely happy for her. After Dad's death, she'd been so lost, so empty. If she'd found someone who could bring joy back into her life, I was thrilled. "Mom? That's wonderful. Who is he? When do I get to meet him?" Another pause. Longer this time. In the background, I heard a man's voice saying something I couldn't make out, and my mother giggling like a schoolgirl. That giggle sent a chill down my spine for reasons I couldn't explain at the time. "Well, that's the thing, sweetheart. You already know him very well." I turned off the stove, my full attention now on the conversation. "I do. Who is it, Mom?" "It's Marcus, honey. Marcus and I have fallen deeply in love with each other." The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the kitchen floor. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. I thought maybe I was having some kind of breakdown, some kind of stress-induced auditory hallucination, because there was no way my mother had just told me she was in love with my husband. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. "Mom, I think we have a bad connection." "It sounded like you said Marcus." "I did say Marcus, Sarah, you're Marcus. He's here with me now. We're at a little bed and breakfast about 3 hours outside the city. We've been here for 4 days. The room started spinning. 4 days. Marcus had told me he was on a business trip. Hidi. Kihidi. Kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me, promised to bring Emma back a souvenir. And he'd been with my mother. "Sarah, are you there, honey?" I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't form words. My throat felt like it was closing up, like I was drowning in my own kitchen. "I know this is a shock, but please try to understand. What Marcus and I have is real. It's beautiful. It's the kind of love I never had with your father, and that Marcus told me he never had with you. We can't help how we feel." That's when I found my voice. That's when 28 years of being a dutiful daughter, of always trying to please everyone, of keeping the peace at all costs, just evaporated. "You're telling me that my husband of 9 years, the father of my child, has been having an affair with my mother. And you think I should understand? It's not an affair, Sarah. Affairs are dirty, secretive things. This is love, pure, honest love. We're not hiding anymore because we're not ashamed. We want to build a life together." I just hung up and stood there in my kitchen, pancakes burning on the stove. Emma calling from upstairs, asking if breakfast was ready, and my entire world crumbling around me. But that was just the beginning. Over the next few hours, the story got worse. Much worse. When I finally got myself together enough to function, I called Marcus directly. He answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting for my call. "Sarah, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I wanted to tell you in person, but your mother was so excited she couldn't wait." His voice was different. Softer, somehow, but also distant. Like he was talking to an acquaintance instead of his wife. "Marcus, please tell me this is some kind of sick joke. Please tell me you haven't actually been sleeping with my mother." "I haven't been sleeping with her," he said, and for a moment I felt relief flood through me. I've been making love with her. There's a difference, Sarah. What your mother and I have is something sacred. I threw up. Right there on my kitchen floor, I threw up everything I'd eaten that morning. How long? I managed to ask when I could speak again. 6 months, he said, and I could hear my mother's voice in the background, encouraging him, telling him he was being brave by being honest. It started the night of your birthday party. Remember when you went to bed early because you had that headache? Your mom stayed to help me clean up, and we just started talking. Really? Talking for the first time about life, about dreams, about what we wanted from our futures. I remembered that night. I'd been exhausted from hosting 20 people, from trying to make sure everyone had a good time while dealing with a migraine that felt like someone was driving nails into my skull. I'd apologized to Marcus for leaving him to clean up, and he'd kissed my forehead and told me not to worry about it. We realized we had this incredible connection, he continued. Something neither of us had ever experienced before. Sarah, I've never felt for anyone what I feel for your mother, not even for you. And I think deep down, you know that the cruelty of that statement hit me like a physical blow. Here was the man who'd proposed to me on a beach in Mexico, who'd held my hand through 12 hours of labor when Emma was born, who'd promised to love me until death do us part, telling me that what we had was nothing compared to what he'd found with my mother. What about Emma? I whispered. What about your daughter? Emma will understand eventually. Kids are resilient, and she'll still have both of us in her life, just in a different way. Your mother and I want to be together. Sarah, we're going to make this work. That's when I understood that this wasn't a temporary insanity, some midlife crisis that would blow over. They'd thought this through. They'd planned this. While I was working extra shifts at the hospital to save money for Emma's college fund, while I was taking care of my grieving mother, while I was trying to hold our family together, they were planning to tear it apart. I hired a lawyer that afternoon. I filed for divorce and full custody of Emma before Marcus and my mother even came back from their romantic getaway. I changed the locks on our house. I emptied our joint accounts. I did everything I could to protect myself and my daughter from what I knew was coming. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened when they returned. They didn't just want a quiet divorce and separation. They wanted me to be happy for them. They wanted me to give them my blessing. My mother actually showed up at my house wearing a new engagement ring bought with money from the joint account Marcus had shared with me, expecting me to congratulate her. Sarah, I understand you're hurt, but I need you to know that Marcus and I didn't plan this. Love just happened to us, and part of the reason I fell for him is because of how much he loves you. And Emma, I fell in love with the man who chose my daughter, who gave me the most beautiful granddaughter in the world. The twisted logic of it made my head spin. She was telling me that she'd stolen my husband because he was such a good husband and father. She was asking me to see a betrayal as some kind of compliment. Mom, you destroyed my marriage. You broke up my family. How can you possibly think I should be happy about this? Because I did it for you, sweetheart. I did it all for you. Those words haunted me for 2 years. I went through the divorce, fought for custody, rebuilt my life from scratch, all while trying to understand what she meant. How could betraying me be for me? How could taking away the father of my child be an act of love? I didn't speak to either of them during that time. I couldn't. Emma spent weekends with Marcus, and I made sure I was never there when he picked her up or dropped her off. I avoided every place I might run into my mother. I built a wall around my heart and my daughter and tried to move forward. But 2 months ago, everything changed again. I was at Emma's school play when I saw them together in the audience. My mother looked older, thinner than I remembered. Marcus looked tired, stressed in a way I'd never seen during our marriage. They weren't holding hands. They weren't whispering sweet nothings to each other. They looked like two people who'd made a terrible mistake, but were too proud to admit it. After the play, my mother approached me. It was the first time we'd been face to face in 2 years. Sarah, can we talk? Please, just for a few minutes. I wanted to say no. I wanted to walk away and pretend she didn't exist. But Emma was watching, and I didn't want my daughter to see me be cruel to her grandmother, no matter what she'd done. We went to a coffee shop downtown while Marcus took Emma for ice cream. My mother ordered a cup of tea and sat across from me, looking more fragile than I'd ever seen her. Need to tell you the truth, she said without preamble, about why I did what I did, about what I meant when I said it was for you. I didn't say anything. I just waited. Your father was not a good man, Sarah. I know you thought he was. I know everyone thought he was, but he wasn't. Not to me. Not behind closed doors. This wasn't what I'd expected her to say. My father had been my hero, the man I'd measured every other man against. He'd been loving, supportive, always there for me. He never hit me, she continued, but he controlled everything. Every penny I spent, every friend I made, every decision about our home, about you, about our life. He made me feel small and worthless and stupid for 35 years. I stayed because I thought that's what marriage was supposed to be. I stayed because I thought I deserved it. She wrapped her hands around her teacup, and I could see they were shaking. When he died, I was free for the first time in my adult life, but I didn't know how to be free. I didn't know who I was without someone telling me who to be. And then I started spending time with Marcus, and he was so different from your father. He listened to me. He valued my opinions. He made me feel intelligent and interesting and beautiful. I felt something crack in my chest, but I wasn't sure if it was sympathy or anger. I fell in love with feeling valuable, Sarah. I fell in love with being treated like I mattered. And I told myself that Marcus was unhappy with you, that he needed someone who understood him better, that I was saving him from a loveless marriage. But that wasn't true, I said quietly. She shook her head, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. No, it wasn't true. Marcus loved you. He was happy with you. I convinced him he wasn't because I needed him to need me the way I needed him to make me feel whole. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small, too hot. I could barely breathe. I destroyed your marriage because I was selfish and broken and desperate to feel important to someone. And when you asked me how I could do that to you, I told myself it was for your own good. I told myself that I was showing you what real love looked like, that I was teaching you not to settle for less than what you deserved. She reached across the table like she wanted to take my hand, but stopped when she saw me pull back. But the truth is, I was jealous of you, Sarah. I was jealous of how confident you were, how sure of yourself, how you never let anyone make you feel small. I was jealous that you had the kind of marriage I'd always wanted, the kind of partnership I never knew how to ask for, and instead of learning from you, instead of trying to become more like you, I decided to take what was yours. The silence stretched between us for what felt like hours. Other customers chatted and laughed around us, completely unaware that my world was shifting again. That everything I thought I understood about the last 3 years was changing. When you said you did it for me, I finally asked, "What did you mean?" I meant that I thought I was setting an example. I thought I was showing you that women could be bold, that we could go after what we wanted, that we didn't have to accept whatever men gave us. I convinced myself that by taking Marcus, I was teaching you to fight for yourself, to demand better. She laughed bitterly. But what I actually did was show you that the people who are supposed to love you most will betray you without hesitation. I taught you that you can't trust anyone, not even your own mother. I turned your daughter into a child of divorce because I was too cowardly to deal with my own issues. Felt tears on my cheeks and realized I was crying for the first time since that morning 3 years ago when my world fell apart. Marcus and I lasted 8 months, she continued. 8 months of playing house, of pretending we were soulmates, of trying to convince ourselves that what we'd done was justified. But you can't build happiness on someone else's destruction. You can't create love by stealing it from where it already existed. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because Marcus wants to come home. Because he's realized what he threw away. And he's been begging me to talk to you, to try to fix what we broke. Because he thinks if I apologize, if I explain, maybe you'll take him back. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. After 3 years of rebuilding my life, of learning to be strong on my own, of creating a stable home for Emma as a single mother, they thought a conversation and an apology would make me welcome my cheating ex-husband back with open arms. And what do you think? I asked. I think Marcus is the same man he always was. Someone who wants what he can't have and doesn't value what he has until it's gone. I think he loved the idea of being wanted by 2 women more than he ever loved either of us. I think you deserve so much better than a man who could be seduced away from his family by a lonely, broken woman old enough to be his mother. She stood up, leaving money on the table for both our drinks. I'm moving to Arizona next month to live with my sister. I'm going to therapy, real therapy, to figure out how to be a whole person on my own instead of trying to steal pieces of other people's lives. I'm hoping that someday, maybe in a few years, you might be able to forgive me enough to let me know Emma again. But, understand if you can't. She paused at the door and turned back to me. I want you to know that despite everything I did wrong, despite all the damage I caused, I am proud of who you've become. You're stronger than I ever was. You're braver than I ever was. You built a good life for yourself and Emma after I destroyed the one you had. And that takes a kind of courage I never possessed. You're a better woman than your mother, Sarah. Don't ever let anyone, especially not Marcus McKee, forget that. And then she was gone, leaving me alone in a coffee shop with the ruins of everything I thought I knew about my family scattered around me like broken glass. That conversation was 2 months ago. Marcus has called me 17 times since then, wanting to talk about our future.
It's good to see you.
My mother kept her word and moved to Arizona. Emma asks about her grandmother sometimes, and I tell her that grandma needed some time to figure things out, which is the truth, even if it's not the whole truth. Haven't answered Marcus's calls. I haven't agreed to meet with him because what my mother said was right. I am stronger than she was, and I'm braver than she was, and I'm not going to make her mistakes. I learned something important from this whole experience. Love isn't something you take from other people. It's something you build with someone who chooses you every day. Someone who values what you have together more than what they might find somewhere else. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean letting people back into your life to hurt you again. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no, is set boundaries, is protect yourself and your child from people who have proven they can't be trusted with your heart. I learned that I don't need my mother's approval or my ex-husband's love to be whole. I don't need anyone to complete me or make me feel valuable. I am valuable all on my own. And so is Emma, and together we're building something beautiful and strong that no one can take away from us. Sometimes people ask me if I hate my mother for what she did. The answer is no. I don't hate her. I'm angry with her. I'm disappointed in her, and I may never fully trust her again. But I don't hate her because I understand now that she was a broken person who made broken choices, and hating her would only break me too. What she did was wrong, but in a twisted way, she gave me something valuable. She showed me exactly who I don't want to be. She showed me what happens when you let fear and insecurity drive your decisions. She showed me that I'm strong enough to survive even the worst betrayals and build something better on the other side. So to anyone watching this who's going through their own betrayal, their own family drama, their own crisis of trust, you're going to be okay. It's going to hurt probably more than anything has ever hurt before. You're going to question everything you thought you knew about the people in your life. You're going to wonder if you can ever trust anyone again.
You too.
But you can survive this.
How have you been?
You can rebuild. You can create something beautiful from the ashes of what other people destroyed. You don't have to forgive everyone who hurts you. And you don't have to welcome toxic people back into your life just because they're family. You get to decide who deserves access to your heart, your home, your future. You get to set boundaries that protect your peace and your children's well-being. You get to choose healing over bitterness, strength over victimhood, hope over despair. My mother ran away with my husband and told me she did it for love. She was right, in a way, just not the kind of love she meant. She did it for self-love, for the desperate, destructive kind of love that takes from others instead of giving to them. But her betrayal taught me about real love, the kind you have for yourself when you refuse to accept less than you deserve, the kind you have for your child when you build them a stable, honest home, even when your own world is falling apart. The kind you have for your future self when you make hard choices that protect your peace instead of easy choices that preserve other people's comfort. That's the love that saved me. That's the love that's rebuilding my life into something stronger and more beautiful than it was before. And that's the love I hope you'll choose for yourself. No matter what betrayals you're facing, no matter who has let you down, you deserve that kind of love. And you're brave enough to choose it even when everyone else chooses themselves instead.